Everybody, stand and help me welcome Travis Green, everybody.
Done so much for me, I cannot tell it all. If I had 10,000 tongues, it still wouldn't be enough. Tuku not want my really. When you hear completely.
Right, hello, good morning and welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. It's a Friday, the 15th day of January, 2021. By His grace, we are live and we're here with yet another edition of the show. Our gratitude we go to the Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making the rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for this morning's conversation shortly. But let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. Election petition. Supreme Court allows Mahama to correct error. Remain faithful and united. President Akufo-Addo urges party loyalists. NPP and DC agree on sitting in Parliament. Daily Guide. NPP maintains majority. NDC sits on minority side. Mahama granted amendment request. Chief Justice probes Muntaka bribery allegation. Stop blame game. Nana tells NPP. Kabi shot dead. Ghanaian Times. NDC's election petition. Supreme Court orders live coverage as it grants John Mahama's motion. Majority minority stalemate in Parliament. Calm returns as NPP and DC caucus leaders dialogue today. GACL embarks on nationwide disinfestation exercise of airports. No NDC candidate after Rawlings obtained more than 51% of votes. President Akufo-Addo. New weekend crusading guide. Akufo-Addo Spitfire. No NDC candidate obtained more than 51% of votes after Rawlings. What really is the point? GACL partners Zoom Lion to disinfest airports across the country. Etriman Pomia DC doesn't deserve second term. Youth group petitions president. Krobo residents fight for their MCE. Let's support Akufo-Addo to deliver in second term. MPs urged. Traditional authorities hail wage Agbawe MCE. The Insight. La youth clash with military over 250-acre La Akpelecho land. Ghana is broke. Needs $5 billion. Stimulus injection to survive. Mahama storms court over election petition hearing. Ghanaians dying of poverty. TUC tells Akufo-Addo and MPs. The Inquisitor. Mining in Odan River Reserve. Report on Charles Owusu Falls. Kings Pep doing legitimate prospecting in the area. GRA goes agog following dissolution of Professor Adair-led board. Opinion. Scandal-free Fremose Pari brought dignity to presidency. The Custodian. Mahama's mathematics petition not based on law. Lawyer Jan. Supreme Court permits Mahama to correct errors in petition. NDC flip-flops over majority in Parliament. 37 military hospital emergency unit closes for fumigation. Business and Financial Times. Government to meet fruit and vegetable exporters over threats of Brexit. Pandemic drives Africa's monthly data consumption to over 300%. Zoom Lion fumigates Kumasi Airport. Alliance introduces EduFlex plan and educational insurance policy. Revamping the railway sector, the story so far. And the good old Catholic Standard. Africa hit by extremely aggressive second wave of COVID-19. Jesuits immortalize Emeritus Archbishop Sapon. Women giving more leadership roles in the church. Vatican modifies distribution of ashes for Ash Wednesday. Sanction MPs involved in Inauguration Day scuffle. Christian Council. Parliament's Day of Shame. Open letter to my new Speaker of Parliament. All right, and the Catholic Standard says that you can subscribe to the electronic version of the paper. Those details are on page 13 of the Catholic Standard. We'll be back shortly. Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning is Nana Akumia, and I mentioned his name first and not the designation because I can't be too sure around this time what a designation is. But at least, for sure, I know that he was a 3-term MP. Is it 3 or 4? 4-term MP. Minister, Deputy Minister, and a Director of Communications for the NPP. And MD STC. Are you still MD?
Yes.
You still are MD?
Yes.
Okay. Will that change soon?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. I pray it changes soon.
Does it become the appointing authority?
Well, also with me is a man who almost, that's like yesterday, almost became chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament. As of now, maybe he has to make do with the ranking member as of now. But anything can change. The situation is quite fluid.
He was going to become chairman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Randy is the new.
Well, he's a member of parliament.
The new appointed.
I tell you, both,
Constituency.
and he has double powers, both in the executive and the legislature.
Samuel Okujeto Blackwood here with me. Son of man. Good morning.
Doc, good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Good to see you too. Nana, do you miss parliament?
Well, it's a sighting now, and so I would have liked to be there at this particular time. It's a sighting. Otherwise, I got tired of it after I've done 8 years in the executive. Parliament became a bit boring. So another 4 years out of the executive, and I left. But this parliament is going to be exciting.
You know, there are people who think that you opted out too early.
But I was there for 4 terms.
Some have done 7 and 8.
Oh, how many? Just 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but regularly people will do 2, 3. 4 is exceptional. Beyond 4,
Blackwell will be doing 10.
Really?
There's a Blackwell's place.
He went in very young.
Yeah, very young.
Because at his age, he's already in his 3rd term.
Yeah.
So 7 more.
Yeah. You went in at 30?
Less than.
Yeah.
30. I went in at 34.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's quite a long time. It's quite a long time. Are you sure you can do 5 terms?
Oh, as for 5
I'll
there.
come and consult.
5 is just around the corner. The man will do 10. 10 is 40 years, not too
The
bad.
current speaker did 7.
7, yes.
7 times 4, 28.
Yes.
And Mesa Bozu is on the
Yeah.
is on the 7th term.
Yes,
So
yes.
he will do 28.
Yeah.
So they will be the longest 7
Yes.
on record.
Honorable Avoka has gone and come.
Yes.
He did, I think, 4 or 5. Went out
And came back.
and has come back.
He's come back this time.
Yes.
Yes. And then the Honorable Collins Dowda is also.
Yeah. Collins Dala should be 5 now.
Yeah.
I suspect Chairman I don't know if you go again. But otherwise, so this is 7th term.
Yes.
28 years.
Yes.
It becomes like your home.
That's how come it becomes a bit difficult to want to leave. You're so used to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
You know, but elsewhere, being in parliament is like a career.
Yes.
You know, elsewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there are people who have been, the president-elect of the United States.
Yeah.
He's been there for like close to 40 years.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that, but for the fact that he contested for the presidency, he would have gone another term. Even whilst he was there, he had contested for the presidency twice.
Yes.
You know, and this was his 3rd time.
You know, this place, there are extraordinary pressures on the member of parliament.
Yeah.
So it becomes quite difficult.
Yeah.
It's anywhere too.
Nana, what's your take on hindsight? What's your take on how we handle this Article 71 thing from the constitution of a committee to when the determination is made? And it appears to many people as kind of a bit ridiculous when with 2 or 3 days to the dissolution of Parliament and of course the expiration of the term of the executive, you have these decisions being taken. And you realize that we even get mixed up with all this ex gratia and the determination of the compensation package, because there are two separate issues here. One is the determination of their compensation, which is done 3 days to the expiration of the term, and then the principle of ex gratia. They are two separate things, but we keep mixing them together. And it's going on and on and on and on and on and on. What do you make of this?
The principle of ex gratia, I mean, so every 4 years you are entitled to ex gratia. So I was entitled in the year 2000, 2004, 2008, and 2012. And Sami, I'm sure, has collected for two, you know. The feeling is that...
In fact, 3. 1 as executive when he was not in Parliament, and 2 times as an MP.
No comment.
I think the feeling is that there must be some modification to that one to make it applicable when you leave.
Eventually.
So that if you are re-elected, then it's held until you finally exit. But the way that it is coming every 4 years, and then you go back, and then it comes every 4 years, you collect again. In the public's mind, it looks like there's some unfairness, particularly when all other classes of public servants have to collect theirs at the end of their tenure after they've served 20 years, 25 years in public service. So why should you serve 4 years and collect ex gratia and then come back 4 years and collect again and come back 4 years? So there's a demand for modification of that one, and maybe it will be looked at some point. With the thinking is that parliamentary service is a contract. So it's not a regular public service job. You're on contract for 4 years. And once you finish your contract, all your entitlement should be given to you. If your contract is renewed by the electorate in your constituency, then it's a new contract. But we are having cases, that's the original thing, but we are having cases where there's the perception of unfairness. And so if it has to be looked at again, I'm sure the public will be happy. With the article, the emoluments. So the provision is that in the life of the parliament, in the 4-year cycle, the president should appoint a committee to look at the emoluments for Article 71. Now, so when you enter parliament, like now, 2021, there has to be a committee that will decide on the emoluments from 2021 to 2024. So that Samuel Kujato will know his salary, his proper salary, every month. Now, this provision, for some reason that I cannot answer, the only people who can answer are Jerry Rawlings Kufuor, that's President Jerry Rawlings Kufuor, up to Akufo-Addo, all of them. They are the only people who can answer, because they've elected to appoint this commission at the tail end of the 4 years. So
they sometimes appoint them in their second year, but
in their second term.
Second year. Because I think Prof. Mills appointed his in 2010 or 2009. I'm not too sure. Nana Akufo-Addo also appointed his in 2018. But the key thing is that irrespective of when they are appointed, their work is actually submitted to Parliament and the executive approval 2 or 3 days to the end of the term.
I think President Mills, he appointed one early on to review what had been done. So his was to review what President Kufuor's committee had recommended. And then later he also...
Because it wasn't approved before the Parliament rules. Because it appears that one wasn't approved.
Eventually all of it was paid.
Yes.
So really,
yes.
It was just a political pressure and a political maneuver. It didn't end anywhere. But the idea is that it should come right at the beginning, in the first year. So as it is, Samuel Kujato is going to collect something you call salary on account.
Yes.
And you collect salary on account. And if President Akufo-Addo doesn't change this, and also goes by what has been happening since 1992 or 1993, then Samuel Kujato will collect something on account up to maybe the last 6 months of 2024. Then the commission comes and decides that his salary should be Y. Then they will say, oh, but he's been collecting Y minus 10. So now you calculate all the arrears from the 4 years. And then you add S gratia. And then you add everything. Then there's some huge figure. And then there's a huge outcry. And that's what we've been doing over the period. I don't know why. If President Akufo-Addo will change it, I'll be happy. It will be the first. And it will set the tone for the future. If he can appoint a commission or the committee to look at the emoluments for Article 71 this year, then by the end of the year, everybody would know the levels that they are pegged at in terms of their emoluments, and then you're not going to have
and make adjustments for inflation and all those things.
Yes.
To take care of
for the next 4 years. Yes. And then you can then have you won't have this situation where at the end of the period, then there's huge back pay, and then this huge, and then of course the S gratia then is based on the new, and then there's some huge amount, and there's a big outcry. I'm sure people are collecting about 500,000 S gratia.
I have no idea.
It's about 600.
No idea at the
Oh,
moment.
it's more.
I have no idea at the moment. We're still.
But you do.
Waiting for.
But you approved it, didn't you? You approved that of the executive.
We approved that of the executive.
They didn't approve yours. You don't know.
We have not been communicated to at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And when it comes, bring some to this table. That's what I put out to make.
I'm noted to share with everybody, including my constituents.
They said they're always indebted, so.
That's also true.
That's true.
That's also true.
Was that your situation when you were there?
You have to plan for it. You see, a member of parliament is also the social insurance for his constituents. Anybody gets into financial difficulty, the first person they go to is a member of parliament. That's the way our system is structured. Those are things that we have to have MPs in your own interest. Should have a proper debate to see how this perception of the social relationship can be modified. Because it puts too much pressure on you people, and you must take steps to address it.
Would the election of MMDCs help?
It would. It would. Also, this business about MPs not development agents, it's a farce. And you people need to deal with it. You should be at the center of the development process. Because currently, you are the people that your constituents vote for. And they don't vote for you because you wear a nice shirt or because you have a degree. They vote for you because they want you to impact on their lives.
Absolutely.
In terms of bringing development projects, schools, roads, hospitals, and the like. In their constituencies, especially the rural constituencies, they want you to be the agents for that process. But the former process that we have, the political arrangement, the constitutional arrangement, doesn't take account of the MP. And so you have a situation where you are expected to ensure that roads come to the constituency, and schools come, but you are out of the process of deciding which roads are done and which schools are built and so on. Unless you come in informally, but formally you are not part of the process. So that's something that you people too need to address going forward. We've talked about it, and it continues to harm your work and your success. I'm sure if we did some study as how NPP lost so many MPs, or how NDC lost so many MPs in 2016, you'll find out that the electorate didn't see you as a development agent. And it's largely because you are out of that process. So it's something that you should look at. So as for the ex gratia and the emoluments and so on, if there's a change this year, it will make the process easier. And you won't have this situation where at the end of the period, all of these payments come together and it looks huge and there's always an outcry.
I mean, I share the principles that have been expressed by Nana Komia. And Randy, the point must be made that it is time to have sweeping reforms, not only about ex gratia, but about pensions generally, pensions of persons in the public sector. Because you cannot have a system where a teacher, for example, after 30-something years of teaching, will retire with peanuts. And sometimes you hear the package and it's really sad. However, they hear all kinds of fantastic sums for Article 71 office holders. And I must concede that if we do not address that disparity urgently, it continues to place Article 71 office holders in a very uncomfortable position. And so we come under needless attack. And all of that perception that we have so much, because the whole social insurance matter and how the politicians are looked up to be the do-all and solve-all in communities is because of that perception that we are giving so much, caused largely by that whole ex gratia situation. And interestingly, Randy, there are many people who do not even avert their minds to the fact that Article 71 office holders are way beyond just members of parliament or ministers. There are many, many people in that category. If you look at Article 71 office holders, I have the 1992 Constitution here. It says the salaries and allowances payable and the facilities and privileges available to A, the Speaker and Deputy Speakers and members of Parliament, B, the Chief Justice and other justices of the Superior Court of Judicature, C, the Auditor General, the Chairman and Deputy Chairman of the Electoral Commission, the Commissioner for Human Rights and Administrative Justice and his deputies, and other District Assemblies Common Fund administrators, D, the Chairman, Vice Chairman, and other members of I, National Council for Higher Education, howsoever described. So now it's called the NCT, National Council for Tertiary Education. All of them take ex gratia. The Public Services Commission, the National Media Commission, the Lands Commission, and the National Commission for Civic Education. You don't hear anybody talk about these categories. The focus is on the politicians, MPs, ministers. And when you hear the debate, it's like, oh yeah, I scratch my back, I scratch your back. It's only the politicians, that class. And they are milking all of us dry, and they take all our taxes. How does this come about? When we take office, we are not told our conditions of service. So Article 71 office holders, when every year the tripartite committee meets and agrees on wage increases. So 2017, I recall it was about 12%. 2018, 10%. 2019, about 11.4%. 2020. Whilst all of these increments were taking place for other public sector workers, Article 71 office holders did not benefit.
Why?
Because we are waiting for the committee to be established. And I honestly, for the life of me, do not know why we wait to the end of the tenure before the committee presents its report. Because if you look at Article 71(2), which gives the president the mandate, says that when it lists the beneficiaries, it says, being expenditure charged on the consolidated fund shall be determined by the president on the recommendations of a committee of not more than 5 persons, appointed by the president, acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State.
That is the little impediment.
So it
That's
does
a
not,
small impediment.
Yes.
You know, and I arrived at this
Yeah.
impediment when, for example, I was advocating for that to be the first
Yeah.
responsibility exercised by a president. And then in reading the law,
Yeah.
I then realized
Yeah.
that there's the issue of the Council of
The
State.
Council of State.
So a Council of State must be in place, before the president can exercise that. So that is where you can pardon up to when the Council of State is in
Yes,
place.
but
beyond that,
Yes.
you know, you cannot.
You cannot.
You know,
and Council of State, really, normally within 6 months, maximum 8 to 10 months of any new government, they are in place. They've been elected. Those who should be appointed are appointed. It's constituted. You know?
And you can pardon maybe the first 2 committees. But as we speak today,
Yeah.
when you have the benefit of the work of 7
Yes.
earlier committees, what at all under the sun will a new committee be doing? For which reason they would have to spend years in making a determination.
Yeah. And
mind you, there are those who also think, like Kwesi Pratt,
Yeah.
that this thing of having a committee every 4 years
Yeah.
is not what the Constitution envisages. But I believe that that is a matter for interpretation, because it appears that all presidents in the Fourth Republic have taken the position that in every term it must be done. So I think if anybody disagrees, you will know where to go.
Yeah.
You know?
So we can do things tidier, better, more in a more equitable way. I honestly have come to the point where I say that shouldn't we even review the whole system so that we can have just one end of service benefit for everybody in the public sector? Do we need these classifications? Yes, for ministers, for members of parliament, you come in for a short period, virtually on contract, if you like. Can't we have a situation where if you come to the end of a term and you are staying on, you should have a different dispensation? So that if you haven't lost an election, say as a member of parliament, because we know what those who lose elections go through. And look, some of the plights, you don't want to say it publicly. It's really terrible. So those who...
And the reality is one of the things that we forget is that the reality too is that the status that being a member of parliament gives you, when you leave that place, your options really are not that many.
They are not. They are not.
They are really not that many.
They are not. And the kind of society too that we have, how polarized it is and all of that, once you get exposed politically, your options, future job opportunities and all of that becomes quite limited. You know, there are many companies that do not want to have politically exposed people, you know, associated with them. Very, very few wouldn't mind. But even that, they'll tell you some of the consequences of that. So we can have a different dispensation for those who lose their seats, who come to the end as ministers or as politicians. And then those who are continuing, we can have a different arrangement. Can we just have...
That's for the determination of ex gratia.
Yes, that's for the ex gratia. Then when it comes to the salary increases that take place every year, if you like, the review of salaries, when the tripartite meets, can we have a situation where everybody is... Because the whole principle of single spine was to try and align and as much as possible get everybody to be on one emolument system. Can we achieve that by amending Article 71, if you like, and putting everybody on almost a similar,
so you want to put
a similar scale?
The three branches of government.
Yes, I mean you put
under
them
a single spine.
Yes, you put them together, and then once you do that, it leads to larger pension reforms, and then pensions will improve, will be better for everybody. Salaries can also then, if you like, reflect the reality. As it is now, you are just going to be on some, static old salary. When there are reviews, you don't really benefit. It's at the end of your 4-year term. And what is even surprising is that there are some in this Article 71 who do not necessarily even have a 4-year term, but are also considered as though they have a 4-year mandate. All of these things need to be tidied up so that once you know from the beginning, this is my condition of service, this is what I'm entitled to, I'm part of the larger public sector pensions and salaries emoluments arrangement. When it goes up by 12%, I'm not left out. By 10%, I'm not left out. As it is now, you are left out for 4 years. Then it is when it's at the end of your tenure, then you are calculating. And people forget that if you look at the current arrangement, the Ministry of Finance said, look, based on what we can afford, it ended up with 11.4%. The politicians and all of those Article 71 office holders have rather been shortchanged. But nobody considers that. Why have they been shortchanged? 11.4%, only one-off increment on the base. But somebody who had, say, 12% increase in 2017, and then in 2018 had 10%, 10% of a bigger base, of that, 12%, is better. You understand? It's a more favorable situation than just having a one-off 11.4% over a 4-year period. But nobody goes into all of those, and it's because of how it's been done, the exclusivity that has been created by this whole Article 71 arrangement. I recall in the NDC,
the optics of a lump sum.
Of a lump sum, exactly. It's not helpful, So you struggle, and I know a lot of colleagues who go for loans and now even a lot of the banks, they have a special package. They even send you text messages, especially on a weekly basis, that come for a loan against your ex gratia. And a lot of people go for it, because you need it to campaign, to win your primaries, and do the national election and all of that. So it's really, really a challenging situation. No matter how you try to explain the difficulty that arises because you are left out of the larger tripartite arrangement, people don't get it because of that lump sum. And to be sincere with you, if you look at our colleagues, even in the sub-region, Ghanaian members of parliament are the worst paid.
That's true.
They're the worst paid. If you know what the Nigerians receive, the Ivorians.
Don't go to Nigeria. Just do Benin and Togo.
Yes, Benin and Togo. Kenya.
But how about the average Beninois?
Kenya is even fantastic. I'm not calling for such an arrangement because I'm saying that, look, let's look at the general working conditions of all public sector workers. I don't think that members of parliament or ministers do anything special that
They do.
The doctors, the nurses, the teachers, everybody's profession, everybody's output, so far as building this nation, constructing a country that is developed, that will meet our hopes and aspirations, it's important. Everybody's contribution is important. So I will go for reforms. I recall in the NDC manifesto under the governance subsector, we talked about reforms for Article 71 officer, because you see, it has attracted needless opprobrium. I believe the reason why presidents will wait for the last hour is that they don't want the distraction, because when it starts, the anger, the public outrage, and all that. So they keep it to the last
Let
minute.
a committee work, and let the committee decide that, look.
No matter what, who knows even the members of the committee?
So it's always announced.
But I'm saying that the focus is on, because of how it's also done, that executive will approve that of the legislature approves that of the executive. In the discussion, everybody even forgets about all the others. Yes. The judiciary, the audit service, the public service commission, national media commission, last commission, all of them. Nobody talks about them. They also do benefit. But I'm saying that let us just reform the whole system, and let's have an arrangement which will let everybody from day one, when emoluments are being review that of Article 71 office holders as well. And I think it will address the issue of the lump sum.
We need to have a realistic discussion on some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
You can't win all the time, and you can't lose all the time.
Yeah.
But one of the things that baffles me, that you have a category of persons who, I want to use just one example, travel.
Yeah.
That your arrangement is that they travel business. And how much you seek to pay them a month is less expensive than the cost of a ticket.
Yes.
To travel.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And even worse to that, the disparities. You can be a minister of a sector, and then the agency heads under you are paid better, have better conditions. So there are times that I don't want to mention. We are traveling, we go to business class, and some of our agency heads are at first class.
Yes. You have to go and put them back.
Because, and sometimes you can even go to some of those agencies and beg them to help you with some budget provision to run your office. Because they are so well resourced. The whole system. I mean, if you look at some of the chief executives, so that's why a lot of colleagues, senior colleagues in the House, wonder how come so many chief executives want to come to Parliament.
2 examples.
And often when they come,
energy and agriculture.
And when they come, they are so disappointed. They did not know that this is how dry the house is and the demands on you. When you are chief executive, you are quite sure that it's not like Nana Kumia who becomes chief executive. He was well known already, MP and all of that. His constituents, I'm sure, will still finding their way to.
He lives very far. It will cost them a lot to get to his house
where he is.
Unfortunately, his work has taken him back there.
Yes.
But you see, there's another aspect which we also need to factor in. It is the general public. They seem to have a love-hate relationship with politicians.
Why?
It has to be explored, but it is the reality. So you, the politician, try and go and sit in
Trotro.
No, well, I'm not even talking trotro. When you sit in the aeroplane, the other one.
Economy.
Economy.
Try and go and sit in economy. The very same public who come, honorable. What's going on?
They'll think you're falling on some really hard times.
And everybody will be turning to look at you. So, the public itself, the public that we serve, they expect you to have a certain standard. And then when you have that standard, they say, hey, why?
When they invite you to funerals, your donations are not honorable
enough,
standard, you're in trouble.
But if a person used to call you Sami or Nana, and now the person is adding honorable to the Nana or Sami. Everything else must be honorable,
including your emoluments.
Everything,
including your emoluments.
they don't look at that.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the public itself,
Yeah.
they push politicians to also behave in a certain way.
Yeah.
I mean, if these days, if you are a politician who is known and you went to a function and you didn't have a police officer, they ask you, where's your police officer?
There's a status symbol.
It's become a status symbol. If you went to a big funeral which is half a kilometer away and you didn't use a big car and you used some small saloon, there's trouble. From the very public who would, as soon as you go, they will talk about, hey, V8. Yet if you went there, some functions without the V8, they will say, why? So it's a difficult problem. But I think you can take consolation in the fact that politicians are not popular anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
In the rich countries, politicians are not popular. In the poor countries, politicians are not popular. So at the end of the day, we should concentrate on doing what we've been elected to do, delivering development to our people, cutting down the corruption, cutting down the waste. And if the people see that the average politician is doing whatever he or she can to improve welfare, then if you're also taking a little less gratia, there probably would not be an outcry. But if the perception is that the people don't have street lights and they don't have ordinary boreholes in the rural areas, and the water supply is not constant, and all of that, and then politicians are taking less gratia, there would always be an outcry. So we need to balance it and focus on delivering some tangible welfare to our people. So each you can have some.
All right. So to help in the discussion, Abdul-Malik Okubaku sent me. See that?
See in Ghana?
Yes, he is. He's on his normal 6 weeks leave.
Normally he travels to the Bahamas or somewhere.
In this corona,
So he has a good excuse.
the man is getting close to the 7th floor. I don't know about underlying conditions, but he's better off here. You know, even traveling is a hassle for him. He's dragged to go because he can't get kenke to eat wherever he goes. Now, you know, a Constitutional Review Commission's report made some recommendations. Now, he sent me excerpts of the white paper that was issued. So, on the issue of conditions of service of the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and members of Parliament, that's issue 14. It says government is a white paper. Government accepts the recommendations that an independent emoluments commission shall be established under the Constitution to determine the conditions of service of all public officers, including members of Parliament. So this was a recommendation that was accepted, you know, by the commission, and there are many other ones about the issues of SNIT and all that. And so the white paper actually accepted quite a lot. But the problem is that we know that issues of that CRC and the white paper have not been implemented. Yes. So it looks like we're having a debate about an issue which appears to have been settled.
But not implemented.
But not implemented.
But not implemented. I mean, and it's a shame really that if you look at the work that was put in that constitution
That's Professor
review.
Fiajo,
Yes,
right?
yes, and this is over 700 pages. I mean, thorough work. I mean, it's such a database, you know, that addresses all the vexed issues, you know, including capital punishment, you know, whether the death penalty should still be in our books, addresses this issue of electing MMDCs, should ministers, majority of ministers come from parliament and all of that. Major issues that it addresses. And it's a shame really that it's been allowed to, to gather dust. I would want to submit strongly that it's not too late to go. I know there were some legal hurdles, some people went to court and all of that. It's not too late to resolve these matters and go back, because we need reviews. And when there is a particular matter which you see that's why even other jurisdictions, they will start with a signature campaign, for example. And when in the House of Commons, for example, a particular threshold, when it's reached, it's clear that, look, this particular matter, the people want reforms, they want an amendment, and then they are more responsive. So leadership is more responsive in those jurisdictions. I think that we should go back to the constitutional review